For the year 2020, I made a video review for every new movie I watched, whether in theaters or at home, and today we are going to talk about my year in movies. Welcome to my year in movies. This is Talking to Myself. It's time to celebrate! The champagne is a month old. It tastes as good as champagne can taste. So over the course of 2020, I actually watched 58 new movies. It came out to about 5 movies a month. January, we had the most with, I think, 8 movies. September and December had the fewest with just 2. Over the course of the year, I learned a lot, mostly through trial and error. And you can hear all of those errors in a ton of my videos, from learning how to make thumbnails, to learning how to mix audio, or not mix audio, or add in footage and balance that audio, or not balance it. I experimented with scripted versus not scripted, casual versus more theatrical. I started out using an old camera from literally 10 years ago, upgraded to my phone that I'm using right now. I added a microphone, first a microphone that my mother let me use, and now this new microphone that my future in-laws got for me, which is really exciting. And I have a new camera on the way, so the possibilities are becoming more endless. It's great. So yeah, I kind of wanted to take a chance to talk about the biggest surprises, my top and bottom 5. I didn't want to rank things just because that takes forever. And I think it's more fun to talk about the best and the worst. But to kick it off, I want to talk about the biggest surprises from this year. Horror movies, those were great. I had a lot of fun watching them. And maybe it's because I had fun watching them with people, but it was still a fun activity. And, horror films were something that I didn't really give a chance. I loved watching other people talk about horror films. Ryan Hollinger has a great channel. I also really enjoy creepy content on YouTube. And so it seemed like it was the right time. It all coalesced at the right moment for horror films to be a really fun part of the new year, of 2020 in general, baby. Adam Sandler. Well, I kind of quit watching his movies in March. I still kept following his social media. And he has this energy about him that I really enjoy and didn't expect to enjoy. Dude's just trying to secure the bag. And secured he did. He makes bank all the time. I actually was thinking about watching his special again just because I enjoy what he brings to that. This is also a really big year for anime for me. It's not that I didn't like anime before, but I think in 2019 I was watching anime because other people were watching it and wanted to recommend it to me. So whether that was JoJo with my brother and my sister, or the anime my roommates were watching, or the anime my fiance was watching. This has been the first year where I have sought out anime and explored stuff on my own, like Mob Psycho 100, which is probably my favorite right now. I wanted to talk about my favorite performances this year, and there were a ton. One of my favorite performances was Park So-dam as Ki-jung in Parasite. Out of the whole Kim family, really the whole movie, her performance is what sticks with me. The kind of effortless cool and confidence that she conveys, that I would easily watch a ton of movies just about Ki-jung. Adam Sandler as Howard Ratner in Uncut Gems specifically, it was kind of hard choosing between this and Robbie from The Wedding Singer, but I think just because Howard is such a departure from what he normally does, and it is the perfect balance of a skeezy character who is so unlikable that he becomes likable again. Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. Robert Pattinson's doing his best, I recognize that, but it is Willem Dafoe who sticks with me and who just embodies the absolute coastline of Newfoundland so perfectly. I adore everything about that performance. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Lancaster Dodd in The Master. He also brought a lot of competition to this to figure out what performance of his I liked the most. It's kind of unfair to pit a drama against a comedy as far as performances go, just because dramas, there tends to be more to pull from. But I do really like his performance as Lancaster Dodd. Gene Hackman, both in The Royal Tenenbaums and Enemy of the State. That's really sour. Oh no. It's all fantastic, and I know I had to choose for Adam and Philip, but for Gene, I am making an exception and counting both just because isn't Royal Tenenbaum and his character in Enemy of the State, they're kind of the same person, really. Just one comes from money, one comes from the state. Taron Egerton as Elton John in Rocket Man. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion necessarily, but I do think Rocket Man deserves more of the acclaim than it got, and all of that is part and parcel to Taron Egerton. And also I just love his interactions with Elton. I think it's really sweet. But the fact that he does his own singing, the fact that he does evoke Elton and make the performance his own, it's a really good performance. Saoirse Ronan as Jo March in Little Women. I mean, like, the scene where she talks about, like, what women are meant for, that is the scene that everyone brings up. And that's the scene that sticks with me when I think of that movie. And so I think that is what lands that performance on this list. I really enjoyed that performance. And Rutger Hauer as Roy Batty in Blade Runner. I know I didn't really care for Blade Runner as a film, but Rutger Hauer's performance is really good. It's what keeps me considering watching that again. It's what makes me think I could watch and enjoy the sequel, because that performance is really good. So before I get into like my top and bottom 5, I do want to say that these are not necessarily based on quality. My bottom 5 gross boys, which honestly are kind of in order, both from like an art perspective and from a personal perspective of just which experience was soured by the film itself. Coming in at number 5, going forward, is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is actually a decent film, but I was very bored. And especially watching it after The Nice Guys, that did a huge disservice. If you asked me to sit down and watch it again, I'm like, can't we just watch like the best scene comps online? I feel like that'd be a better use of our time. Ultimately, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is forgettable and it's a little disappointing. Like, I was expecting more from it. It sagged despite its really short runtime. It didn't feel very clear what was happening. I had to reread the synopsis to make sure I understood the ending. And, like, that's a bummer, but, like, they can't all be winners, and that's okay. Number 4 is Along Came Polly. I know I got, like, a decent review out of it. That's done pretty well if I do say so myself. But this was just garbage. Philip Seymour Hoffman is doing his best, but even he can't save it.
Give her a little spanking.
Nothing violent. You just have her real light right on the tushy and say, hey, I'm your daddy. I'm your daddy.
I'll allow it. Valley Girl. So boring. So bland. I don't even think I paid that close attention to it, but it was still just so boring. I watched Valley Girl. And no, not the one with Nicolas Cage. I wish. It's kind of a West Side Story-esque star-crossed lovers with way lower stakes, where you have Julie from the Valley and Randy from Hollywood, and gosh darn it, their friends just don't like that they're going out, but their worlds are so different. Can they make it work? Do we care? Number 2, My Best Friend's Wedding. Awful characters, awful premise, awful execution, unpleasant experience. Julia Roberts plays 27-year-old Julianne Potter, living the best hot, young, single, New York in the 90s lifestyle. A job writing that we never see her do. It pays for a lavish apartment where she lives alone, but she has a gay best friend. Poor Rupert Everett would not have any opportunity to play anything more than a gay best friend in the 90s. It's okay, buddy. Shrek 2 is coming. And number 1, Horns. I did so much soul searching to try and figure out what this slot would be, but I do think it was Horns. The fact that it had so much promise, so much to offer, and it just catastrophically fell off the rails into such awful places. The end of the movie, the back 2/3 of that movie, ruined the first part of this movie, and it's really unfortunate because it had all the pieces there. And so the fact that it's the one that I'm like, I would actively suggest something else to watch if this were proffered on a movie night. Rewatching scenes to get clips for my review was awful because I had to sit through the snake death again. That was awful. And like the film, you're a supernatural horror, you're a black comedy, you're a mystery. There's just too much going on here. Simplify. The biggest question that the film doesn't bother to answer is, where did the horns come from? An abysmal congratulations to all, and especially to Horns, because yikes. Now, before we get into the top 5 favorite most S-tier flicks of this year, I want to give a couple honorable mentions of ones that didn't make the list, but just for like offhand reasons. So, Bill and Ted 3, I would have put this on the list, but because it was a sequel, I opted not to. And then Krampus, I would have put this on the list as well, but because it was seasonal, that kind of limits when I can watch it. Will it limit when I watch it? Who's to say? with that being said, let's get into my top 5 favorite most S-tier flicks for the year. Clocking in at number 5, we have Parasite. This absolutely knocked it out of the park. A really fun way to kick off the year. A very fun foray into Bong Joon-ho's filmography. And I'm very excited to see what else he has next. But when that twist happened, turns out I had guessed all of the circumstances surrounding it incorrectly. And there were still more twists that I had no idea about. My goodness, the sound of the doorbell halfway through the movie, like, it sends chills up my body even thinking about it now, and it's been like 2 weeks since I've seen this film. Number 4 is The Royal Tenenbaums. Just everything I enjoy about family dramas, specifically with the like very pretty pastel Wes Anderson flavoring to it all, and excellent performances from everyone involved, even from actors that I don't especially care for, like Gwyneth Paltrow. Fantastic. And of course, Gene Hackman is there, and that makes it all the better. After just a 3-minute clip, my boyfriend was able to nail down pretty much exactly what this film was, and why I would like it so much. A washed-up lawyer being evicted from his posh life, potentially falling back on his eccentric, variably successful wards in an understated dialogue, heavy properness, and otherworldly presence. Nailed it, babe. Number 3 is A Hard Day's Night. As can be expected, this kicked off the back half of my year, and it's a fun movie. It sets the bar for like what musician performances in movies about them can be, and it's artistic, it's fun, it's energetic, it's really good. And again, kicked off one of the best phases in my life. During the course of the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, are the Beatles cute? Oh my gosh, are the Beatles talented? Oh my gosh, are the Beatles good? Oh my gosh, do I like the Beatles? Number 2 is The Social Network. I was actually watching this again last night. It is still fantastic. From a drama perspective, it is tight, it is so well done. The combination of David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin is masterful, and at just a skosh under 2 hours, it is an essential drama and the perfect fall movie, honestly. This movie is like Facebook's glass slaughterhouse walls. I wanted to delete my Facebook, and this movie is about Facebook as we understood it 10 years ago. So the fact that we are already to the level that we were 10 years ago is baffling to think about. My number 1 favorite new film from 2020 is, get your guesses in now, Enemy of the State. I don't think anyone's surprised. What can I say about this that one of my favorite reviews of all time can't already say? And you know how I know it's a good movie about the government? Because the NSA refused to cooperate, baby. That's how I know it's good. This film has everything from government surveillance, conspiracy, Will Smith, Gene Hackman, sleek, sophisticated, engaging, prescient. It's everything. I loved this movie, and it easily is my favorite film from 2020. I am a big believer in physical media, and so these were all films that I bought pretty soon after I saw because I had to have a physical copy. I don't like renting or having digital copies just because that's like the rental economy, and so those are films that I had to own physical copies of, and I'm so glad that I do because they were fantastic. And I have a copy of Krampus. My fiance lovingly gifted me a copy for Christmas. And yeah, that's kind of the cap off to this year. I am so excited for what 2021 is going to be, at least in terms of making content, you know? But thank you all so much for watching and subscribing. I think we crested like 40 subscribers in the year, which is really cool, especially since I deleted my Twitter. I don't do promotion there anymore. I don't have like an official Instagram for this channel. This is really cool. And the feedback has been really great. Thank you for sticking with it through all of the experimentation and learning, for, you know, commenting, sharing, liking, all of that stuff. It's super cool. I don't think there's enough that I can say that'll really like adequately convey how exciting it is that we're keeping on. We're keeping doing it. So thank you all so much. Here's to more learning and growing in 2021. I will see you very soon with a couple of quick sketches with some longer form stuff, and we'll see where it goes from here. This has been My Year in Movies. Thank you for watching.